The Boston Celtics find themselves at the center of a storm that few saw coming, and it is not about injuries, salary caps, or the usual debates around rotations. It is about the possibility of Jaylen Brown being linked to Atlanta in a way that could shake the foundation of the Eastern Conference. The very idea of Brown, a player who has worn the green jersey through triumph and adversity, being seriously discussed as a potential target for the Hawks is enough to capture every Celtics fan's full attention. This is not a small rumor whispered on the sidelines. It is a conversation that has gained volume and weight, and the potential consequences could be massive for both Boston and Atlanta. Jaylen Brown has recently given life to speculation by acknowledging his personal ties to Atlanta, a city that resonates with his roots. It was not a declaration of departure, but in the world of the NBA, even the slightest hint can become a headline that refuses to fade away. When a four-time All-Star with a Supermax contract worth over $300 million, signed just last year, leaves the door open to another future, the league takes notice. For the Hawks, a franchise searching for relevance beyond early playoff exits, this kind of opportunity feels like the rarest of windows. For the Celtics, it forces an uncomfortable but intriguing question. How much are you willing to reshape to secure the long-term path of the franchise? The rumored proposal is bold, involving Dyson Daniels, Zachary Rizicher, and first-round picks for the years 2029 and 2031. At first glance, it seems like the kind of return that emphasizes potential over proven excellence, but that is exactly where the intrigue lies. Daniels, known for his elite defensive instincts and his rapid growth as a two-way guard, represents the kind of young piece that can develop into a cornerstone. Rizicher, a rising prospect with size, shooting touch, and versatility, could be molded into the type of wing every contending team craves. Add to that the distant draft picks, which could turn into premium assets depending on Atlanta's trajectory, and suddenly Boston would be armed with a mix of talent and flexibility that secures both present competitiveness and future options. For Celtics fans, the immediate reaction might be disbelief. How could a team that just celebrated banner number 18 even entertain such a dramatic move? Yet history has shown that the league rewards boldness, and Boston has never been afraid of making daring decisions. The departures of Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis earlier this offseason already signaled that Brad Stevens and the front office are recalibrating. This is not about tearing down, this is about ensuring that the franchise never falls into stagnation. Tatum will return, the system remains strong, and the influx of youth and draft capital could set up Boston for another wave of dominance, one that stretches well into the next decade. From the Atlanta perspective, this is more than a gamble, it is a declaration of intent. Pairing Brown with Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis instantly changes their ceiling. It's not just about offensive fireworks, though Brown's ability to score in transition, defend multiple positions, and space the floor makes the Hawks far more dangerous. It is about credibility. Atlanta has long struggled to establish itself as a destination for elite players, often losing battles for free agents or failing to hold attention beyond one playoff run. Bringing in Jaylen Brown, a proven champion and all-star, rewrites the narrative. It signals to the league that Atlanta is no longer content with being a fringe contender, it is ready to step into the spotlight. The curiosity gap here is real, because no one can say with certainty how Boston will proceed. Will the front office truly put a player of Brown's caliber on the table, or is this a leverage move to remind everyone of his value? Will Atlanta push all of their assets into one basket, knowing that failure would cost them their flexibility for years? The uncertainty fuels speculation, and for Celtics fans it sparks an important reflection. What if moving Brown actually secures the franchise's long-term dominance? What if the assets received unlock another transformative move? And what if Boston emerges not weakened but renewed, with a deeper pool of talent and an even stronger path to banner number 19? Hope remains the key element, because the Celtics are not a team drifting without direction. They are the winningest franchise in the league, led by a front office that has consistently shown the ability to outmaneuver rivals. Whether Brown stays or whether a blockbuster shakes the league, the future in Boston is not dark, it is full of possibilities. Every rumor, every whispered trade scenario is a reminder that the Celtics are never passive. They are always in motion, always preparing for the next great leap. And as the league debates Atlanta's dream of acquiring Jaylen Brown, Celtics fans can take comfort in knowing that no matter the outcome, their team is built on a foundation of boldness, resilience, and an unrelenting pursuit of championships. The rumor mill has never burned hotter in Boston, And right now the spotlight is not on draft picks or depth pieces, but on one of the most explosive scenarios imaginable, a possible trade involving Jaylen Brown. The whispers connecting him to Atlanta are not just idle chatter, they are fueled by comments he himself made, planting the seed that one day he might want to suit up in his hometown. That single remark has sent ripples across the league, forcing everyone to consider what a move of this magnitude would mean, not only for the Hawks, but especially for the Celtics, who have built their identity around the unique partnership of Jayson Tatum and Brown. The question that captivates fans today is not whether Atlanta wants him, because of course they do, but whether Boston would ever part ways with a player whose value is almost impossible to measure. Imagine the Hawks, desperate to break into the true elite of the Eastern Conference, lining up an offer that includes future first-round picks and promising young pieces. To pry away a four-time All-Star, they would need to put everything on the table. Speculation points to names like Dyson Daniels and Zachary Rizicher, plus unprotected selections in 2029 and 2031, a package that gives Boston flexibility long after the current season has ended. For Atlanta, it would mean betting their entire future on one move, a declaration that they believe Jaylen Brown is the missing piece who can elevate them from the middle of the pack to legitimate contenders for the conference crown. What makes this scenario so captivating for Celtics fans is not fear of losing Brown, but curiosity about how Brad Stevens and the front office would respond. The Celtics have never been a franchise that allows others to dictate their future. If a deal were to happen, it would not be a retreat, it would be a recalibration, the kind of bold strategic decision that ensures sustained dominance rather than short-term success. Adding young defensive talent like Daniels and Rizicher would not weaken Boston. It would diversify their arsenal, and with valuable first-round picks secured far into the next decade, the Celtics would keep the door open for future blockbusters that could shock the league once again. This is where the curiosity gap grows because fans know the Celtics have already made bold moves this offseason, reshaping the roster in ways nobody predicted. If they were willing to move on from names like Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, who is to say they would not explore an even bigger trade if the return made sense. The possibility of acquiring players who fit seamlessly around Jayson Tatum once he's fully healthy is not a step backward, it is a strategy to extend the championship window even longer. For Atlanta, adding Brown would be transformational, but for Boston, the intrigue lies in what comes next. A trade like this would not be the end of a story, it would be the beginning of another chapter. With cap flexibility, multiple young talents, and high-end draft picks, the Celtics could position themselves to strike again, either through free agency or another blockbuster deal. That is why this rumor has captured so much attention, because it is not about losing a star, it is about imagining the future possibilities for a franchise that always seems to be 2 steps ahead. Jaylen Brown has always been more than just a scorer. His versatility, leadership, and ability to deliver in critical moments make him invaluable. That is why these whispers feel so dramatic. Trading him would shock the basketball world, but if there is any organization capable of turning shock into opportunity, it is the Boston Celtics. Fans should not see these rumors as a threat, but as proof that their team will always be at the center of the league's biggest conversations. Whether Brown stays or moves, one thing is certain, the Celtics are not standing still, and the next decision could reshape the entire balance of power in the NBA. Boston's story with that final roster spot is not just a matter of numbers or contracts, it is a test of how far the front office is willing to go in shaping the last detail of a team built for greatness. The question is not simply whether Ben Simmons should be the one walking through that door. The real mystery is what the Celtics are trying to keep hidden with their silence. They have left that seat open longer than most championship contenders would dare, and that choice whispers of something bigger than paperwork. Simmons still carries a name that bends conversations in every front office in the league. He is only 29 years old, once drafted first overall with expectations higher than almost any player of his generation. While his career has been battered by injuries and doubts, the memory of his peak refuses to fade. Imagine a 6'10" playmaker guarding every position and initiating fast breaks with the speed of a guard. Those qualities do not disappear overnight. Boston knows that, and the fact that his name has been linked to them is enough to spark speculation about whether they see an opportunity that others are too cautious to pursue. But the intrigue goes beyond Simmons. Boston is calculating every move inside the tight web of the new collective bargaining agreement. Staying under the second apron is not just about saving dollars, it is about keeping control of future flexibility, and Brad Stevens has shown that he values that control above everything else. He built a champion in 2024 while others were frozen by the new tax rules, and now he is again holding a card close to his chest. Leaving that 15th spot open is not weakness, it is leverage, a weapon waiting to be used at the right time. The Celtics also know the power of development. This is not the first time they have faced a decision like this. Hidden talents have emerged before under their guidance, turning unknown players into rotation pieces that impacted playoff series. Fans remember Luke Kornet's rise from Maine to meaningful minutes in Boston, or Sam Hauser growing into one of the best shooters on the roster. These stories prove that the last seat on the bench can still shift the future, and the organization believes in repeating that magic again. If Simmons walks into Boston, the story changes immediately. He would bring elite defensive coverage and size to play as a small ball center, a role that could alter the rhythm of playoff matchups where versatility is everything. He would also provide secondary playmaking to ease the load on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and the idea of unlocking his game in stable, winning culture is enough to make fans wonder what secrets still lie inside him. Boston is perhaps the only place where that gamble feels less like risk and more like destiny. And if it is not Simmons, the Celtics are still positioned to surprise. They could take a swing on an unproven but high upside talent, someone who fits their mold of size, shooting, and versatility. Even if such a bet fails, it keeps the culture of innovation alive. What matters most is that the organization is not afraid of trying, of pushing boundaries that other franchises avoid. That is how dynasties extend their lifespan. So when fans ask what Boston should do with that last roster spot, the answer is that they are already doing something. They are turning it into a weapon of patience, a reminder to the league that not every move needs to be rushed. Whether it becomes Simmons, a young unknown, or remains empty until the perfect trade deadline opportunity arises, the Celtics are shaping the future in silence. And for a franchise that has already proven it can shock the basketball world, that silence may be the loudest signal yet.